Story time. So I'm in Tucson for integrative medicine in immersion week, and it has been an eventful day trying to get here. So left Charlotte at 9 something this morning, 4.5 hour flight to Tucson, or no, 4.5 hour flight to Phoenix. And Phoenix had an hour layover before my flight to Tucson. While I am sitting at the gate, there's a medical situation going on behind me. Old man having some chest pains or something, and the paramedics are there. They're asking him questions about his health, blah, blah, blah. They seem to have everything under control, so I mind my business, as I have been taught to do. If they don't need you, don't be interfering in people's work, right? So while the paramedics are talking to him, mind you, it's like 8 paramedics talking to this man. A woman comes up, pulls one of the paramedics aside, says, "My friend's a little girl, she's 4, we think she's having an allergic reaction. Do y'all have some Benadryl?" Her mom is in the little store across the way trying to see if they have some, but do y'all have any? Dude says, "No, where's the little girl?" Little girl sitting on a suitcase, waiting for her mom, I guess, to come back. But they're like, she has hives. She's never had this before. The paramedic lifts up her shirt, torso covered in little red bumps, also known as hives. So then I continue to just observe, mind my business. The little girl is coughing as they're asking the mom's friend questions. And I'm like, I wonder if she had that cough before or if that's a new thing, because that's not a good sign. So I'm observing. They go over, they bring the mom comes back. They sit the child in the mom's lap. They're examining her. I hear them say she's wheezing, and they're asking the mom about her allergies and stuff. She's never had an allergic reaction before. So the friend is standing off to the side. So I walk up to her and I'm like, was she coughing beforehand? Did she have a cold? And the friend's like, no. So then I say, okay, well, has anybody asked around about an EpiPen or mentioned an EpiPen? All right, sorry to interrupt the story. I'm walking down the street to go to the store. So yeah, I was asking about an EpiPen. Nobody seemed to have one. So then the lady's like, she's never had an allergic reaction before, so we don't carry an EpiPen. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And the paramedics, I see them fiddling around, and I heard them say, oh, her oxygen's low. We're gonna give her a breathing treatment. Now, and she's wheezing. So I'm like, well, that's not really what you do with somebody who is having an allergic reaction. Like wheezing in general, they have asthma, sure. But allergic reaction, she got hives and she's wheezing and her oxygen's low. Why they got no epinephrine? So then I see another paramedic like sitting a couple seats down, like going through this med bag that they have, I guess. And so I walk over to him and I'm like, do you have an EpiPen? I really think she needs an EpiPen. And he's like, we don't have an EpiPen. I was like, okay, well that right there says Epi. You could just draw it up. I can pull up the pediatric dosing if you need. And he's like, oh, well, I don't even remember what he said, honestly. But then the lead guy comes over and he's like, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your help. But I'm really trying to get mom to take her to the hospital. I'm not going to give her any epinephrine. And I was like, I don't know. In my mind, I was like, I don't know what those two things have to do with each other. Whether mom agrees to go to the hospital or not, she needs the epinephrine. Because I'm looking at this little girl in her chest. Her breathing is labored and her eyes are rolling back in her head or drooping down like when kids fight sleep. And they're like, oh, she's just tired. She's had a long day. And I'm like, she's not tired. She can't breathe. She's not getting enough oxygen. And he's like, we got it. Thank you, but we got it. And I was just like, so I went and sat back in my seat and which happened to be right across from them. So I'm just like watching all of this go down. And this little girl is almost to the point of being unconscious. And after another couple of minutes of them discussing it with her mom, they finally give her some epinephrine. Like 60 seconds later, she's like talking and breathing normal. And it's like, you could have saved her like 10 minutes of suffering if you had did that in the first place. Like, I don't know what y'all were waiting on. And I skipped this part before, but the original woman that I was talking to was like, oh, are you medical? Are you a nurse? And I was like, no, I'm a doctor. And she's like, oh, okay. And so then she told somebody over there, she's like, oh, well, the doctor suggested epinephrine. And they were like, oh, well, we'll have to see, but hemming and hawing for no reason. And like, I know that I'm an adult doctor. I don't see kids. So I would have had to like pull up the dosing on my phone and stuff, which makes me seem less official. I'm also wearing a crop top and some college sweatpants. But goddamn it, do you really think random people are just walking up talking to you about epinephrine dosing and don't know what they're talking about? Like, come on now. So anyways, that's my story about how my expertise was dismissed today. And I was slightly traumatized watching this little girl go downhill, even though I had already told them what they needed to do. So yeah, whenever they ask, is there a doctor around? Most of the time I wait and see what's going on. They didn't even ask if there was a doctor around. This like the one time that I volunteered myself to be in an awkward position, and they didn't even listen. So we'll see what happens next time. But, the final point in the story was at the end, I think somebody told the captain that I was indeed a doctor, even though, I had told the other people. And then he came over and he was like, oh, I wasn't trying to dismiss you. It's just, we had to get them ready to go to the hospital and, HIPAA and blah, blah, blah. But here's my number. You can call and check on her later. And I'm just like, I mean, you say you weren't trying to dismiss me, but you did dismiss me. And the thing that I've been telling y'all that y'all need to do for 10 minutes, you eventually did. But I don't know. The whole thing just don't sit right with me. Let me know what y'all think.